Massimo and I made a quick getaway and motored just a short distance to Siena. From one hilltop to another, Siena at a distance. Founded between 900 and 400 BC, inhabited by a tribe called the Siena. The Etruscans came next, and then the Romans, who renamed it Siena Giulia. The city center with Duomo and Piazza del Campo with the city hall. The Roman origin accounts for the town emblem, the she-wolf suckling Romulus and Remus. Legend has it that the city was founded by Sennius, son of Remus. He must have been a busy guy, Remus, because Romulus killed him. Another zebra Duomo, this one completed in 1380. Siena was Ghibellini, whereas Firenze was Guelfi. The rivalry played out in 1260, with Siena, with a much smaller army, routed Firenze, though in 1555, Cosimo I de' Medici beat the Sienese. Siena has never recovered. This is true also in the Renaissance period, though rivaling Firenze in the 13th and 14th century, it's pathetic now by comparison. The Medici whomped them all around. Let's look more closely now at the Duomo. The facade is much like Orvieto's, yet very different. Only 5 mosaics on the upper portion, inspired by that Duomo. Here, not 2 types of marble, but a third, red, is easily seen around the main door. Instead, the plethora of statues, all done by the famous Giovanni Pisano, no, not Pisano, and his school adorn the facade, representing the prophets, philosophers, and apostles. Due to the ravages of time, they are mostly copies. The originals are to be found in the crypt of statues in the Duomo Museum. When the nave hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's the Duomo. It sort of grabs you, doesn't it, like Orvieto. The Sienese had delusions of grandeur. This was supposed to be the transept. A new nave was started in 1339, which would have made it bigger than St. Peter's. The Sienese got their due in the Black Death of 1348, wiping out 3/4 of the city's population. The project was stopped. Here you can see it at its beginning and end. The horizontal molding around the nave contain 175 busts of the popes from St. Peter to St. Lucius III. Right below, you can make out 2 of the 36 busts of the Roman emperors. The vaulted roof is decorated with gold stars. Looking back from the high altar, why are all these people looking at the floor? It's intarsia. Who or what's intarsia? It's marble mosaic, or in Florence you have the Opificio della Pietre Dure, a guild with a wonderful museum of Florentine mosaics made of large, seamlessly constructed pieces of semi-precious stone. The whole floor of the Duomo is one big piece made of 56 panels of pietre dure. The work took 2 centuries to complete, the 14th to the 16th. The marble high altar was built in 1532 by Baldassare Perussi. The bronze ciborium 1467-72 by Lorenzo di Pietro, known as Vecchietta, Old Maid. The angels above and at each side are by Francesco di Giorgio Martini, 1439-1502. Now that's a dome right above the high altar, different from most others as there's no Last Judgment scene. It's hexagonal, topped by a gilded lantern. Who done it? Why, none other than Gian Lorenzo Bernini. The trompe l'oeil coffers are from the late 15th century. Around the circumference are images and statues of 42 patriarchs and prophets painted in 1481 by Guiduccio Cosarelli and Benvenuto di Giovanni. The pulpit is the masterpiece of Nicola Pisano and di San Giovanni, and assistants Arnolfo di Cambio and Lapo di Risibuto, done between 1265 and 1268. It's the Duomo's earliest work, whose message is the doctrine of salvation. Here it comes, and the Last Judgment. It is octagonal with 9 marble columns, 4 rest on the base, 2 on 2 lionesses, 2 on 2 lions, and the center one on small statues of the 7 liberal arts and philosophy. The staircase dates from 1543, built by Bartolomeo Neroni. In the apse behind the high altar are these marvelously hand-carved choir stalls, dating from 1363-1397 and extended in the 16th century, painted by Fra Giovanni di Verona in 1503. Down and down I go, round and round I go, in a spin, loving that spin I'm in, under that old Duomo that I love. Under the apse, the baptistry. It was completed in 1325. Now pay close attention. The frescoes on the arch in the center of the photo are by Lorenzo di Pietro Facchietta. The Old Maid in 1450 represent the Articles of Faith, the Prophets, the Sibyls, unfortunately repainted in the 19th century. The frescoes on the vault of the apse were done by Licelli di Matteo da Bologna in 1477. The baptismal font itself is the Duomo's greatest art treasure. Bas-reliefs and gilded brass figures at the base are by Donatello, Ghiberti, and Jacopo di Quercia. The panels represent the life of John the Baptist. Here are but 3. The Annunciation to Zacharias by Jacopo della Quercia. Herod's Banquet by Donatello. And the Baptism of Christ by Ghiberti. This is another of your rot-your-socks places. Just look at it, dedicated to a hometown boy who makes good as Pius II. Enea Silvio Piccolomini, the Piccolomini Library, adjoining the Duomo. It contains illuminated choir books and frescoes by the Umbrian artist Bernardino di Betto, known as Pinturicchio, the rich painter, probably based on designs by Raphael. Each of the frescoes painted between 1502 and 07 represents secular and religious events in Pius II's life. Pinturicchio paints Raphael in several of them. This one, he's crowned court poet by the Holy Roman Dingbat, Frederick III. Here he is playing matchmaker. As Bishop of Siena, he presents Frederick III, Holy Roman Emperor, to his bride-to-be, Eleonora of Portugal. Here he's getting his cardinal's hat from Pope Callistus III. 2 years later, his triumphant entry into San Giovanni Laterano as Pope Pius II in 1458. This is the convocation of princes in 1459 in Mantua, proclaiming a new crusade. A copy of the Greek The Three Graces is in the foreground. Here he is canonizing Catherine of Siena. You missed it. So here it is. At the bottom of the painting in the foreground is Raphael, with Pinturicchio behind him, giving him the aye. Pius II was an egomaniac and a master of nepotism. He put the cardinal's hat on the head of his nephew, who in 1503 became Pius III for 3 weeks and then died. The word nepotism comes from the Latin word nephew. Pius II was one of the best at it. Now off to the Piazza del Campo. In all medieval Italian Tuscan hilltop cities, the streets are narrow and pedestrians watch your back. Otherwise, you'll get your retreat cut off by a passing car or truck. The narrow alleys leading to the Piazza del Campo are steep and dangerous, especially in high heels, unless, of course, you have a large, low-down ballast. The Piazza del Campo. The shell-like design, considered one of the most beautiful piazzas in Italy, and at its center, the Palazzo Repubblico. Completed in 1328, it was once the city hall, now a museum. The campo itself was paved in 1333 to 1334. Next to the palazzo is the Torre del Mangia, the Glutton's Tower, named after the first owner, Giovanni del Balduccio, who was a pig. That is, he was a glutton. The porte cochere at the base leads to a door to the chapel. The statues on the porte cochere are those of the 12 apostles. The city is divided into 17 different contrade, or sections, or in the US we'd use the word ward, a political subdivision. They each have their own coat of arms. Remember The Godfather. In Italy, the family is society's base unit. A contrade is like an extended family. It is very politically incorrect for a man and a woman to marry outside their own contrade. So who cares about the contrade? Well, twice a year, once July 2nd and August 16th, they hold a horse race, the Palio, thrice around the piazza. It's more like medieval pageantry coupled with controlled chaos. Contrade's origins go back to medieval days, when each ward had to supply men to fight, mainly against Firenze. So each contrade generated battle honors, hence intense rivalry. They prepare a year in advance. Due to space limitations, only 10 horses run, drawn by lot. The afternoon, the day before the race, much discussion about how each contrade will win and who will ally with whom to defeat their enemies, and how much. Before the race, each contrade holds a banquet for its district. All members stay within their geographical boundaries for fear of being beaten up for being a spy. The morning of the race, the 10 contrade meet in their own church, and clippity-clop, in comes the horse to be blessed, with the parting words, Vai e torna vincitore, go and win. Now 3 hours of slow motion. Leading the charge, a legion of mounted carabinieri. That's a joke in itself. Followed by the captain of each participating contrade in full armor, drummers and flag-tossing pages, then non-participating contrade, then the city fathers, the nobles, and finally the chariot drawn by oxen carrying this year's Palio winner's banner. The previous night there were 25,000 Sienese eating outside with their contrade. Today there are 50,000 screaming fans in the middle and a few lucky ones on bleachers around the outside. When the horses enter, chaos reigns. Eventually, they're under starters' orders. Oh, no, they're not yet, not quite. They're each trying to make deals to shut out rivals. This happens several times before they're finally ready. The rope drops, the din is even louder, 3 times around, and in a little over a minute, the winner is declared. It's the first horse across the finishing line, with or without a rider. It could only happen in chaotic Italy.
C'è qualche problema per il Leocorno. Ecco, è entrato.
I cavalli sono partiti, la mossa è valida, schiatta in testa l'Aquila, incalzata dalla torre. Vedete in seconda posizione il Leocorno, le contrade in grande velocità si avviano verso la prima curva di San Martino. Passa l'Aquila, seconda posizione per Loca, terza posizione.
È caduto il montone e la giraffa.
Questo momento per la Selva, secondo giro di piazza, sempre con l'Aquila in testa.
È caduto anche il Leocorno.
Inseguito da lontano dall'Oca, dalla Pantera. Quarta posizione per la Selva, secondo giro di piazza sempre con i colori del giallo dell'Aquila che conduce questa carriera del 2 luglio del 2006, incalzata, tallonata dall'Oca, mentre la Pantera tenta di rimontare. Ecco, vedete che taglia questo terzo e ultimo giro di piazza l'Aquila.
Sta entrando la Pantera.
Sta entrando dall'interno la Pantera con grande velocità. Guardate queste due contrade come si danno battaglia, ma per il momento sembra che non ci sia storia, perché quest'Aquila è proprio il caso di dire che vola verso l'ultima curva del Casato, incalzata dalla Pantera, la contrada rivale che cerca di guadagnare posizioni ma non ci riesce. Per il momento è l'Aquila, un testa a testa, la Pantera.
È la Pantera che ha vinto. Incredibile.
La luglio
incredibile.
del 2006 a sorpresa.
Una cosa incredibile.
Un testa a testa tra le due rivali che
Mai vista
esatto,
una
proprio
cosa del genere.
un palio combattuto fino all'ultima incollatura. È stato veramente un
I
palio
tell you should really learn to express their emotions, don't you agree? I mean, really show how they feel. I'm on the road again. I'm halfway to fabulous Firenze. Yet the Lilliputian village of Monteriggione calls for a short visit before historic San Jimmy and puzzling Pisa.